Hello all, very good morning. In today's class, I would like to discuss you regarding the topic aneurysm, and this is from your cardiovascular unit. Coming to the topic aneurysm, so before you want to know the aneurysm, you have to know what is the structure of an artery. So aneurysms, these are the disease, this is a type of disease which is mainly affecting the arteries. So the abnormal enlargement of an artery that is caused due to the weakening of the arterial wall, it is termed as aneurysm. So for example, if you see, so this is the lumen of blood vessel, nothing but artery, and this is the tunica interna or intima, and if you see, this is endothelium and this is subendothelium, and this green part, it is the internal elastic lamina. So this is the tunica interna. Coming to the tunica externa, so you have a smooth muscle, and it is covered with an external elastic lamina, and it is covered by tunica externa or tunica adventitia, and these arteries are supplied by the vasa vasorum, and these two are called as arterioles. So the further continuation of artery is termed as arteriole. So these arterioles, again, they will divide into capillaries. So now I think you understood what is the structure of an artery. So if you come from internal part of an artery, first it has a tunica interna or intima. So in this tunica interna or intima, it is consisting of an endothelium and subendothelium, and it is also consisting of internal elastic lamina. So endothelium, subendothelium and internal elastic lamina, all these three are termed as tunica interna or tunica intima. So the inner part of the heart, the halo region of the artery, it is called as lumen. Coming to the tunica media, so it is the medium part. So we have tunica externa, we have tunica media, and we have tunica intima. So coming to the tunica media, it is consisting of smooth muscle and elastic lamina. So both these are termed as tunica media, and externally we are having tunica externa, or it is also called as adventitia. So often there are no symptoms of aneurysm, but when an aneurysm is ruptured, it can cause to fatal complications. Nothing but when an weakening of an artery is occurring abnormally, if an artery is going on like this, so it is the arterial wall. So arterial wall is tunica intima, tunica media and tunica adventitia. So the weakness in these three layers, will make the artery to bulge. This is the normal pathway of the blood. So but because of the aneurysm, the blood is lodging here. Flow of blood, there is abnormal flow of blood, but you cannot find any kind of signs and symptoms, because even though the blood is coming and lodging here, it will go again to the particular part where it needs to go. So but when it ruptures, when this artery is rupturing here, the blood is coming outside, means from the internal fluid it is coming to the external, and it is ultimately affecting the outer parts. So whenever the blood is lodging in the outer parts, these can lead to the fatal complications. So hope you understood what is an aneurysm. Now we'll see what are different types of aneurysms that are involved, and what kind of management it can be done, and what is the nursing management in an aneurysm. So coming to the definition here, so according to the American Heart Association, aneurysms occur when a part of an artery weakens, allowing it to widen abnormally or balloon out. So this is one definition. Second definition what we have is an aneurysm is localized sac or dilation formed at the weak point of an wall of aorta. So when there is, as we have discussed, when there is weakness in the arterial wall, here a balloon like structure or the dilated, so it can occur both ways or it can occur at only one side. So this is called as aneurysm. So here, because of the high pressure in the arterial system, aneurysms can enlarge, producing complications by compressing the surrounding structures. For example, if it is occurring in the brain, when the artery is passing through the brain, so there are more chances that when an artery is enlarged, it can keep pressure on the adjacent structures. So when there is pressure on the adjacent structures, there will be decreased blood supply and there will be secondary complications. So aneurysm is the second most frequent disease of aorta, mainly after the atherosclerosis. So if you take this atherosclerosis and aneurysm is at the second place for this artery diseases. Now you can see the clear picture here. So this is the normal pathway, normal artery, and due to the weakening you have an sac-like structure. So an aneurysm, it is referring to the weakening of an artery that creates bulge or distension of the artery. So you can see here, this is the normal blood flow, as I have said in the previous slide. So here the blood flow is coming here and it is lodging, ultimately it is affecting the blood flow, but it is not in a significant manner. So here this is the management that you can do. So they will keep a mesh like or stunt like structure so that the blood flow is not going into the aneurysm. So when there is no blood flow in the aneurysm, automatically the aneurysm will fall off. Nextly, most aneurysms, as I said, they do not show any kind of signs and symptoms, but when they are in severe stage, if they rupture, they will lead to life-threatening conditions which will cause the internal bleeding. If it is in subarachnoid area, it will cause subarachnoid hemorrhage. If it is cerebral, as I am saying, it will cause subarachnoid hemorrhages. If it is internal aorta, if it is aortic aorta, it will cause internal bleeding. So the person may result in death also. Nextly, classification based on the types. So here we have based on the layers of vessels that are involved. So we have true aneurysm, we have false aneurysm. Based on the morphology, means based on the shape, we are calling it as saccular aneurysm, we are calling it as fusiform, we are calling it as Berry aneurysm. Based on location, if it is in the aorta, we will call aortic aneurysm. If it is in the abdomen, we will call it as abdominal aneurysm. If it is in cerebrum, we will call it as a cerebral aneurysm. And if it is in the thoracic region, we will call it as thoracic aortic aneurysm. And based on the pathological mechanism, they are calling it as secondary to atherosclerotic and syphilis. So these are all some of the classifications based on the layers involved, based on the morphology, based on the location, and based on the pathological mechanism. So as we are discussing this one based on the morphology, so we have saccular aneurysm and we have fusiform aneurysm. Saccular aneurysm means, so here only the aneurysm is at the side of the artery. If it is fusiform aneurysm, here you can see the bulge all around the artery. So in ruptured aneurysm, you can see how the blood is filling outside. So this is the morphology. And if it is berry, so these berry structures are mainly occurring in the brain. So it will be like fusiform only, but the shape will be in a berry shape. So as we are discussing based on the location, so aortic root aneurysm, if it is coming at the root, if it is coming at the thoracic ascending aorta, so they were calling it as ascending thoracic aortic aneurysm. If it is coming at the arch of aorta, you are calling it as aortic arch aneurysm. If it is coming in the descending aorta, you are calling it as descending thoracic aortic aneurysm. If it is coming in the thoracoabdominal region, you are calling it as thoracic abdominal aortic aneurysm. So you can see here, this is the TAA. So aneurysm is seen here. So this is TAA. So aneurysm is seen here. This is also TAA, which is occurring in the thoracic aortic aneurysm, and you can see abdominal aortic aneurysm here. So this is fusiform and this is saccular. Hope you understood what are the types based on these images. So coming to the types of layers that are involved. So when we will call it as a true aneurysm and when we will call it as a false aneurysm. So here if you come to the true aneurysm, so the true aneurysm, it is involving all three layers: tunica adventitia, tunica media, and tunica intima, or you can call as tunica intima, tunica media, and tunica externa. So when all three layers are involved, you are calling it as true aneurysm, and you call it as a pseudo aneurysm when there is collection of blood or leaking completely of an artery or vein but confined to the next vessels by surrounding tissue. So here if you see the false aneurysm, here if you take the adventitia, here the tunica media, in tunica media it may occur, or tunica adventitia it may occur, and the tunica intima is protecting the internal arterial wall. So but there is lodging in between the tunica intima and tunica media, or in between the tunica media and tunica adventitia. So in those times you are calling it as a false or pseudo aneurysm. So a false aneurysm occurs when a blood vessel wall is injured, like coronary angiography or injury from knife or bullets or arterial grafting. So during these times there are more chances for coming of this pseudo aneurysm or false aneurysm, and you will also have dissecting aneurysm. Now we'll see what are all the morphological features. So the classification, how they have done based on the morphological features, means based on the size and shape of an aneurysm. So here, based on the shape, we cannot specify a specific disease. So we are not saying it based on the shape, but whenever there is abnormal lodging of blood which is causing the artery to bulge, either fusiform or saccular or berry shape, so based on the shape, based on all these shapes, we are confining it as an aneurysm. But we cannot consider based on the saccular form, we are not saying a specific disease name, or if it is fusiform, we are not saying a specific disease name. Any abnormal weakening of artery which is causing the artery to bulge in any kind of shape, we are calling it as aneurysm. So coming to the saccular aneurysm, here only the shape is spherical in shape. So here what is happening, it is involving only the portion of a vessel. So here any side of the vessel can get weakened, and the size where the vessel has increased, there only the aneurysm is forming, and you are calling it as a saccular aneurysm. So here they vary in different sizes, and they are often filled with either partially or fully by a thrombus. Nothing but they may be filled with blood, or sometimes they may be filled with thrombus. So they may be filled entirely or they may be filled partially. And nextly we have saccular, or nextly we have fusiform aneurysm. So here there is a localized dilation. So here the dilation is occurring around the artery, so not the portion. Unless if you see the saccular aneurysm, unlike it, here the fusiform aneurysm, it is coming around it, but in saccular aneurysm only one side of the artery is getting disturbed. So here a localized dilation of an artery in which the entire circumference of vessel is distended, and the result is an elongated tubular or spindle like swelling, you will call it as fusiform aneurysm. Nextly we'll discuss what is this berry aneurysm. So here a berry aneurysm, it will look like a berry on a narrow stem. So this is most common type in the brain aneurysm. So here if you take all the brain aneurysms that are occurring, so they make up about 90% of them. So this is according to the Stanford Healthcare. So they are saying in all the brain aneurysms, the berry-form aneurysms are covering the percentage about 90%. So the berry aneurysms, they appear at the base of the brain where there are major blood vessels meeting. So here the major blood vessels, they are called as circle of Willis in the brain. If you study the anatomy, if you study the blood circulation of brain, you can understand what is this circle of Willis. So if you have queries, you can just refer the anatomy textbooks. And here when a berry aneurysm ruptures, the blood from the artery moves into the brain, which is causing subarachnoid hemorrhage. So means the internal bleeding that is occurring in the brain, it is called as subarachnoid hemorrhage. So how this berry aneurysm will occur means, so they are mainly occurring in a narrow stem. For example, if two arteries are coming and meeting at a place, so here berry like structure, the berry like bulging is occurring, and this is called as a berry aneurysm. So these are two arteries which are coming and meeting at the junction, and unfortunately, due to the weakening of artery and due to the pressure that is present in the arteries, the bulging of the artery occur, and this is called as berry aneurysm. And these are mainly occurring where? They are mainly occurring in the brain, in which they are causing subarachnoid hemorrhage. So based on the location, as I have said, so aneurysms, they are classified by their location and symptoms. So they will differ by site of the aneurysm. So if it is occurring in the renal system, so the signs and symptoms will be different. If it is occurring in the abdomen, again the signs and symptoms will be different. If it is occurring in the intracranial aneurysm, so again the signs and symptoms are related to the brain and symptoms vary. If it is thoracic, again if it is coming in the heart or abdomen or near the diaphragm, the symptoms vary based on the size, based on the shape, and based on the location of the aneurysm. Coming to the renal aneurysm, so here the renal artery aneurysm is a dilated segment of renal artery twice the diameter of normal renal artery. So here what is happening, near the renal region the dilation of the artery is occurring. Coming to the incidence, if you see the renal artery aneurysm, this is very rare. So it constitutes about 1% to 0.9%, and if you come to the rupturing of the renal aneurysm, it is rare. So very rarely the rupturing of renal artery aneurysm occurs. So if at all it ruptures, the signs and symptoms will be like flank pain, and there will be tenderness, and you can observe hypertension, and there will be hematuria, and there will be hypovolemic. So as we have discussed the RAS system, renal angiotensin aldosterone system, we have discussed in the yesterday's class, that is hypertension. So if you see, because of this hypertension, so the resistance, whenever there is decreased blood supply or decreased perfusion to the renal kidney, so because of the ruptured aneurysm, so whatever the blood is coming from the heart, it is going into the extracellular fluid, and it is not coming to the kidney. So during that time, because of the decreased perfusion, and because of in order to maintain the normal blood pressure in the body, the renin angiotensin aldosterone system will activate, and which will cause further peripheral resistance, and there will be hypertension. There will be hypertension that is developing in the person, as well as because of the loss of fluid, because of the loss of blood, the person will land into this hypovolemic shock. So this is renal aneurysm. So coming to the intracranial aneurysm or brain aneurysm. So here, this is mainly due to the weakening of cerebral artery or cerebral vein, which causes the local ballooning of the blood vessels. Coming to the classification of the cerebral aneurysm. So here, there are small aneurysms, and the diameter is about 15 millimeters, and there are large cerebral aneurysms, and the diameter is about 15 to 25. If it is giant, it will be about 25 to 50 mm, and if it is super giant, there are more than 50 mm in diameter. Coming to the signs and symptoms, you will have severe headache, nausea, vomiting, and there will be disturbance or impairment in the vision as well as speech. Coming to the complications of this brain aneurysm. So if the brain aneurysm is rupturing, it can lead to the hemorrhagic stroke, and ruptured aneurysm, it can definitely become a life-threatening situation, and it required definitely a prompt medical treatment. So according to the meta-analysis which is done by Bogartas et al. In the year 2015, they found that this aneurysmal rupture prior to treatment is the major cause of death and morbidity for aneurysmal subarachnoid hemorrhages. So according to them, they have described that in the year 2015, they said, so before the treatment, if the treatment is not occurring for a cerebral aneurysm rupture, so it is becoming the major cause of death. And here in this study, they also find that the cerebral aneurysm size, it is one of the major risk factor in aneurysmal bleeding. So depending upon the size, the bleeding will vary, and the life-threatening situation also vary in a particular person. Nextly, we have the atherosclerotic aneurysm. This is nothing but pathological aneurysm. So these aneurysms are mainly caused due to the disease atherosclerosis, and they can mainly occur in the abdominal aorta. So inflammation which is associated with the atherosclerosis, it leads to the destruction, it leads to the thinning, and when there is destruction and thinning of the arterial wall, it will lead to weakening of the vascular wall. Firstly, tunica media will be disturbed, and ultimately it will lead to the aneurysmal dilation of the vessel. If the media is disturbed, ultimately there will be more pressure on the intima and the adventitia, and it will lead to dilation of the blood vessel. And nextly, we have syphilic aneurysm. So these syphilic aneurysms, they arise during the tertiary phases of the syphilis. So here what it will happen means there will be chronic inflammation in the tunic adventitia and elastic arteries. So they are mainly on the aorta. So ischemia, and you can also observe ischemia in the tunica media, and these both combined with the syphilic invasion, and it will result in the weakening and destruction of the artery. Ultimately what it will do, it will cause the dilation and it will form aneurysm. So this is the syphilic aneurysm. So this is mainly due to the disease syphilis. It is mainly occurring in the tertiary stages of the disease syphilis. So mainly it is focusing on the inflammation. Mainly it is due to the chronic inflammation on tunica adventitia. It will be particularly acting on the aorta, and there will be ischemia of the tunica media. So these both will combine and form the destruction of this syphilic aneurysm. Nextly, we will discuss what is this aortic aneurysm. So nothing but aneurysms that are pouching or dilating the arterial wall are more common. They involve the aorta. So in syphilis also we can see it is mainly involving the aorta here. So coming to the types of aortic aneurysm, we have thoracic aortic aneurysm and we have abdominal aortic aneurysm. So coming to the aortic aneurysm, so here, so we have, this is the normal aorta, So here the aorta with abdominal aneurysm, large abdominal aneurysm. So you can see this is the ascending aorta, this is the arch of aorta, and this is the descending aorta. Aneurysms that are occurring here are termed as aortic, ascending aortic aneurysms. If it is coming in here, they will call it as aortic arch aneurysm. If it is coming here, they will call it as descending aortic thoracic aneurysm. If it is coming in the abdominal region, they will call it as an abdominal aortic aneurysm. If it is coming in the renal region, they will call it as renal aneurysms. So here the normal diameter of an aorta is about 2 to 3 centimeters, but here during an aneurysm they can bulge up to 5 centimeters. Coming to the thoracic aortic aneurysm, so it is primarily in the thorax. It is the balloon of the upper aspect of aorta above the diaphragm. When this thoracic aortic aneurysm it is rupturing, it can even cause the death also. So one ruptures can, so here in this thoracic aortic aneurysm, if the rupture is occurring, the death rate is about 50 to 80%. So we cannot save the person from 50 to 80%. So mostly it is one of the severe type of aneurysms. Coming to the complications, so if it is left untreated, if it is left unrecognized, it can be fatal. So whenever there is dissection or whenever there is popping of the aneurysm, so the person will land up in instant death also. Coming to the signs and symptoms of this thoracic aortic aneurysm, so you will have compression of superior vena cava, and it will produce the congestion of head and neck of upper extremities, and there will be pulse and BP differences. There will be chest pain, abnormal pulsation apparent on the chest. You can observe the shortness of breath. Cough also will be there. Hoarseness and dysphagia will be there. Coming to the abdominal aortic aneurysm, so it is the enlargement of the aorta in the abdominal region. So you can see here abdominal aortic aneurysm, so there is enlargement. So normally it has to be in this shape, but because of the aneurysm it has been bulged. So it is defined the increase by more than 3 centimeters, and it is one of the most common form of this aortic aneurysm. So here the pulsating feeling near the navel you can observe, and there will be back pain, and there will be deep consistent pain in your abdomen. These abdominal aneurysms mostly they will remain asymptomatic, but if the rupturing is occurring, they will result in the pain abdomen and pain in the lower back, and there will be low blood pressure, and sometimes they can lead to death. So common causes of these aneurysms are mainly due to atherosclerosis, infection to the arterial wall, syphilis, Marfan syndrome, penetrating or blunt trauma. So when a gunshot is occurring, or when you are doing the angiogram, if you are damaging the blood vessel, if you are unnecessarily touching the blood vessel, it can result in the aneurysm. So high blood pressure. So if there is constant pressure on the blood vessel, so it will lead to weakening of the blood vessel. And the age, according to the age, so if the age group is above 60 years, then there are more chances of getting this aneurysm. And male, smoking, family history of aneurysm disease, all these are some of the common causes of aneurysms. Now we'll see the pathophysiology. So due to reasons, it can be due to atherosclerosis, or it can be due to trauma or inflammation. So what will happen, or the BP increase, persistent BP, or any kind of other disease or blunt injury, what will happen? There will be weakening and degeneration of blood vessel. When there is injury in the blood vessel, there will be ultimately weakening of the arteries. So when there is weakening of the arteries, the hypertensive injury may compound their denigration and accelerate the expansion of aneurysm. So what will happen? Because of the pressure that is there in the blood vessel, ultimately the blood vessel will start to expand. As the aneurysm expands, the tension in the wall also increases, so there will be further increasing of the blood vessel, and if you are not treated, it will lead to rupture, and it may cause to death of the person. So with this, I would like to end this session here. Hope you understood the class that we have discussed. So please like, share and subscribe channel. In next class, I will discuss you regarding the diagnosis, regarding the treatment part, surgical management and nursing. They ask you regarding the aneurysm. If you write this content, this is more than enough. I will discuss you even the nursing care plan in the coming class. So I request you to please follow up the part B of this class. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe the channel, and if you have any queries, please drop them in the comment box. Thank you. Thanks for watching.